Good morning, gentlemen. Today is the 20th of Tammuz, July 26th. And today we're going to reiterate what we began yesterday, talking about how the Jew is imbued with a soul which comes from the essence of Hashem. When we speak, words coming out of our mouths. Some people could speak for hours. Some people could speak for days, nonstop. But if you take a deep, deep breath, fill up your lungs all the way, and blow out as hard as you can, only a few. It takes a lot of energy, and it comes from deep within inside you. And that is what, metaphorically speaking, Shem did to instill the Jewish soul within the body. In today's lesson, the hosts of heavens as well as angels come from the external aspect of Hashem, the godly life force, which is termed speech. While the soul of man comes from the breath of Hashem, meaning the inner aspect of the godly life force. So just as there exists a vast difference between speaking and forceful blowing, precisely so in the analogy, allowing for the infinite differentiations involved between creator and created. Obviously, the analogy is not accurate because it's a metaphor. It's metaphorically speaking, meaning it's not God taking a deep breath, but just like a deep breath comes from inside of you, so too God gave us the soul from deep inside of him, so to speak. There exists a difference above between all the hosts of heaven, even the spiritual beings like angels who created something from nothing, and the soul of man. What's the difference? They derive their life and existence from the external aspect of the life force issuing forth from the infinite one, Ein Sof Baruch Hu, to vitalize creation. Just like we would speak, what I was explaining before. And this aspect is called the breath of mouth. By the breath of his mouth, all the hosts were created. This is the creative power embodied in the letter of the 10 utterances. It doesn't say the 10 deep breaths and forceful, thrusts. It's 10 utterances, not to diminish this creation, something from nothing, but 10 utterances comes from the mouth and the different parts of the mouth. If it would be us saying it. And here in parentheses it says Shehem Bechinas Kelim V'Amshachas Kolik Meshespor Mikotei Morim Chelik Beis Perikut Aleph. These letters being in the nature of vessels and a drawing down and so forth of the life force, as explained in the Likutei Morim. We went into this in depth. So we talk about the creative power embodied in the letters, Uvein Nishmas Adam, and in contrast, the soul of man, Shenimshachat Chila B'Chinas Pinimis Achais V'Shefa Shemashpia Ein Sof Baruch Hu, the soul of man, which derives initially from the innermost of the life force and flow issuing from the Ein Sof, the infinite. The pasuk says, and he blew into the nostrils the breath of life. It came to Adam. So it took a lot more energy, a lot more chayas to do that, a lot more effort. As mentioned earlier, this verb indicates the internal aspect of the divine flow of life force, for he who blows does so from his innermost being. It's not just utterances. Thus, the soul originates in the inner aspect of the life force and flow issuing from God. It then descends through ever more concealing planes, also like the angels who were created by means of the letters. By means of the letters that comprise the divine utterance, which is Nasa Adam, let us make man. In order that it could eventually be invested in a body in this physical world. This then is the difference between souls of angels, souls which derive, between souls and angels. This is the difference between souls and angels. Souls derive from the innermost aspect of God, which is Yud Kei Vav Kei, the name of Hashem, while angels are rooted in the external aspect of godliness, the divine name Elikim, the more natural form of God, if you will. I don't know how to explain it, but we'll see. So now we'll explain this a little bit better. Because for this reason, the scriptures call the angels Elikim. In this phrase, so the angels are godly beings, so they're called Elikim, but Elikim is the lower level of godliness versus Havaya Yud Kei Vav Kei. So as in the phrase for the Lord, your God, He is the God of gods, Elikim. The last word here is referring to the angels. Hodu Elikim, the pasuk also says, so the first pasuk is from Dvarim, and the second one says in Tehillim, Hashem Elikech, no, the second pasuk, Hodu Elikeo Elikim, praise the God of gods, Elikim, once again referring to the angels by the name Elikim. And in another reference here, it says, the sons of God, Elikim, came to present themselves. The name Elikim is applied to the angels here. Because they derive their nurture from the external degree of godliness, which is merely the state of letters. That's an external aspect. Similarly, the name Elikim is an external state relative to the name Havaya. As we mentioned earlier in the Tanya, Shemesh U'Magen Havaya Elikim. The sun and its shield is like Havaya Yud Kei Vav Kei. It would be like the sun, bright as anything. You can't look at it, completely burn up if you get near it. And then there's the shield. There's the ozone layers, and the different layers until the firmament, whatever that means, until it comes to here, the outside of the sun. Still part of the sun, the rays of the sun, whatever it might be. So you have Havaya, which is the essence, Yud Kei Vav Kei, and then you have Elikim, the extensions, the attributes of Hashem, which create. Nishmas ha'adam, shebechinas pnimis hachayos, ichelek shem Havaya Baruch Hu. The soul of man, deriving from the internal aspect of God, is a part of Hashem, Yud Kei Vav Kei. Ki Shem Havaya Moed Al Pnimis Hachayos. The name Havaya indicates the innermost dimension of life-giving power, which is the external dimension, Malachim, and the internal dimension, the soul. Shilamayla Mayla B'chinas HaYisiyus, which is far greater and transcends the state of the letters. So the takeaway for today, Chavram, we're still in the middle of chapter 4. So we're going to continue along this theme a little bit more until I believe we finish it on Shabbos, quite long on Shabbos, which is fine. So we have plenty of time to learn. Tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock. So the takeaway for today is the energy in blowing originates from the core of the person. Therefore, one cannot blow air for the same amount of time as one speaks. This shows that it's deeply rooted within man. It's like a part of your essence. If you blow too much, can't do it. But when it's something external, you can do it for a long time. Similarly, the soul of man is described metaphorically as being blown by God. Again, it's just a muscle, suggesting that it originates deeper within godliness than worldly creations, which came from God's speech. Wonderful, nice. But realize that we have this inside of us. So if we're ever struggling or we ever want to touch or tap into godliness, all we have to do is really look within, because we have the essence of God and not the external part of God sitting right inside of ourselves. And that's every Yid. So that's why, going back to the original thing, how come people don't die at 50, 60? How come they're not being punished? Well, they can't. We're untouchable because we have that chelik Havaya, the portion of the essence of Hashem within every Yid. Everyone, wishing you a good Shabbos and enjoy the rest of your day.